It's Charter California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Robert Garcia, he is the Vice Mayor of the city of Long Beach. He was also recently appointed to California's Coastal Commission, a very, very powerful appointment. It's hard to deny. I'd like to get a sense from you, how's it been going over the last few months on this new commission, which everyone looks at?
No, I mean, it's been going great. I think the Coastal Commission obviously is extremely important for the coast, and really for the whole state. I think that our coast is our most valuable resource, and so it's been a great experience being on the commission. It's been a few months now. It's great people. The commission is made out of 12. It's basically 12 appointees, and a lot of people don't know that the appointees actually come from 3 different appointing authorities. So
really?
The governor appoints 4 appointments. The Senate, the state Senate, through the Rules Committee, makes 4 appointments. And then the Speaker of the Assembly does 4 appointments.
And your appointment was through whom?
Through the state Senate.
But look, I mean, it's all, rosy to talk about, but really controversial issues are presented before you. Issues that newspapers cover, that we cover. And so it's got to be challenging when you're presented with an issue where tempers flare, where opinions are entrenched. So how do you approach? I mean, look, you are an elected official already, but still, I mean, these are very weighty issues.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, one thing I learned really quickly when I got onto the commission was that the commission, like a lot of state agencies, has been seeing its funding decrease dramatically over the last few years. I mean, you look at decades and decades of budget cuts. And so what the commission can actually do when it comes to permits and looking at projects, it really has slowed the process down. And so there's a lot of complaints out there about how long it takes for something to get through Coastal Commission. And unfortunately, it takes so long because oftentimes there just aren't the resources for them to go through.
There are also complaints that the Coastal Commission is beholden to environmental interests, to the exclusion of every other interest. What's your sense of that reputation?
Well, I think to take one step back, I think it's important to know that one of the philosophies that I believe in, and it's something that a lot of the coastal commissioners talk about, is this idea that the coast is never protected. It's always in the process of being protected. You always have to continuously protect the coast. And I think if you look at the coast of California, unlike the coast of, let's say, Florida, you have a very different scenario. What the Coastal Commission did because of the Coastal Act that the voters passed is it essentially created pockets of high-rise development up and down the coast. So you have San Diego, you have Long Beach, a little further north, you've got some activity in the San Francisco Bay Area. But if you look at the rest of the coast, you rarely see kind of these high-rise developments. What you really see is more access to the coast.
Which one could argue is nice, but the flip side is, I mean, you look at significant portions of Los Angeles County, Malibu, Santa Monica, beyond Malibu. I mean, there's nothing but Tony homes and no opportunity for economic expansion. I mean, would it be so bad to have some hotels go up, to have some condominiums go up?
Well, I think we do that already. I think that we do have hotels go up. We do have condominiums go up. But they also have to, I think, work in the landscape of the coast. And I think our greatest asset in California is this incredible coastline and these incredible bluffs and beaches and diversity of what the coast actually looks like, from forests in the North Coast to what we have down here in Southern California. And so I think historically the Coastal Commission has done a good job of protecting the coast. Now, have there been instances in the past where the commission has stopped projects or slowed things down to the detriment of the local economy or some good projects? I mean, absolutely. And I think that the Coastal Commission has also evolved and continues to evolve. I think it's very pragmatic. I have found that just in the short time I've been on board, the staff can recommend X and the commission will end up doing Y.
Really?
And it happens more times than people would think.
But is the staff, I mean, forgive me if I'm doing a bit of inside baseball, but is the staff more environmentally conscious and the commission may vote more economic in direction?
I think the staff's point of view, I think, is always what do we do to protect the coast? Because I think we have to realize that every time that we permit a development, every time that we build a hotel, I mean, that land and that public space is, if it's public space, is not going to return to the public. I mean, we can have public access, but it's going to be developed. And so, sure, so I think staff takes a position where we want to be as responsible as possible. And I think we look at it from a point of view of, is this a good development? Is it going to, we have to look at things through the Coastal Act. We can't We're not there to make economic decisions. We're there to make decisions about public access to the coast. Does it comply with the Coastal Act? I think those are the things that we're trying to determine when approving any type of development or anything that happens up and down the coast.
I want to shift gears and talk about a different type of access, and that's accessing various points of the Los Angeles County Basin. As you know, in 1990, the very first true public transportation system that wasn't bus opened, and that was the Blue Line.
Right.
From, was it Union Station to Long Beach?
Right.
It's been more successful than ever anticipated. Very significant ridership. But there are concerns that the Blue Line has become a bit of a stepchild, if I can use that metaphor. What's your sense of how Metro looks at and treats the Blue Line?
Well, the LA County MTA system obviously is extremely massive, 26 million boardings a year. The Blue Line alone does about 6 million boardings.
Wow.
Just in the Long Beach area.
You use it?
Yeah, absolutely. I used to get to downtown LA from Long Beach. And just in Long Beach alone, there's 8 stations, which is a large chunk of the Blue Line. But I think what's happened over the years is that the Blue Line has gotten a little bit less attention than some of the other lines.
Why?
So, I'm not sure why. I think that it's the oldest. It's one of the oldest lines. So maybe it hasn't had the kind of attention that the Red Line or the new Expo Line, Gold, others have had throughout the county. And so I think what's happened over the past few years is stations are in worse shape. There's less amenities. Public arts hasn't been replaced.
Right.
It also takes you, for example, 20 minutes to get from kind of the north of Long Beach at the Artesia station to downtown Long Beach. 20 minutes to get from one end to the other. I mean, you can drive quicker.
Right. Why?
Again, there are some issues with synchronization of stops. There just hasn't been, I think, the attention that it needs. And so we've engaged in the last month or so with the county, with Supervisor Kanabe,
meaning
the city of Long Beach, has engaged with the county, with the supervisor, with MTA, in trying to come up with solutions, particularly when it comes to safety. We have more both pedestrian accidents in the Blue Line than any other line in the MTA system. We also have some crime issues. And so we've had some commitments up front, which is great. We've added 4 sheriff deputy patrols to the Long Beach stations. We have added 4 ticket fare security assistants. As a start, we're adding tap card.
Tap means
when people can tap their cars to get onto the station. Those are being all added to all 8 stations. We're fixing the canopies. Now, when we say we depend on Metro to do this. Obviously, the sheriffs are they're contracted by Metro. And so
Long Beach really can't do anything without the involvement of Metro.
Correct. We can advocate. We can cause. We have a megaphone that we're using, and fortunately, I think the county is listening and working with us. But the county has to make these changes.
But I think in a lot of ways you're right that because the line is established, Metro's focus is not on improving the Blue Line, but getting the Expo Line going. And so, where is there a funding source to make these changes?
Well, I mean, the MTA has an incredible amount of funds.
What about Measure R?
Well, right, Measure R, and I mean, you just saw probably how much money they spent on the new station they're opening up there. That the supervisor Ridley Thomas was
right. Oh yes, the Leimert Park.
Right, the Leimert Park. I mean, that's a huge investment, which is a good investment.
Uh-huh.
And so we now have assurances from MTA that they're going to make changes. They're going to change the canopies at the stations on the Blue Line. They're going to change they're going to be replacing the cars in the next few years.
Oh, really?
All of the track on the Blue Line will be replaced in the next 2 years. Those are really important changes that they're going to make.
Will that create increased speed?
That will help us with speed. And they're also going to right now exploring how we can fix some of the crossings on the Blue Line, particularly in Long Beach, to increase the speed. Because of the entire system at the MTA, the stops between the North Long Beach station and downtown, it's the slowest response time in the entire county.
Wow.
So we need to make a difference.
And would synchronization help?
Synchronization would help, and some other stuff too, some pedestrian crossing work.
Okay, his name is Robert Garcia. He is the Vice Mayor of the City of Long Beach. He's also a member of California's State Coastal Commission. My name is Brad Pomerance. You are watching Charter California Edition.
In 1972, California voters passed Proposition 20, thereby creating the California Coastal Commission. What percentage of voters favored Prop 20? In 1972, Proposition 20 garnered 55.2% of the vote.
Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Tonya Martin and Brenda Caloca, and she is muy loca, let me tell you. And they are loca together, and they are heading up this year's Long Beach Festival Gay Latino. And I have a couple of quick questions. You're not Latino, you're not gay. How'd y'all get involved in these festivals? So back me up, sisters. How'd this all happen?
My name's Tonya, and I was with
Yeah.
Long Beach Pride for several years,
Okay.
and I was adopted by the Latin community.
Right.
So I wanted to give back to what they've done for me, so I started the event with another co-founder, a couple
Right.
of the co-founders.
What about you, loca?
Very simple. We're co-workers. That's
Right.
how we initially met. And, she obviously saw my skills.
Yeah.
Girl got skills.
Wanted
Right.
to put them to use.
Exactly.
So she invited me to help her out with putting it on.
And the bottom line is, we're all people, and we all support the human spirit and the
absolutely.
fun
Definitely.
and the joy. I'm sure that will be seen on September 14th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. That is one 11-hour party.
Yes.
And tell us about this year's event.
This year's event, this is our second year.
Just.
It's the first event in Long Beach, founded and produced by women. So we have a whole crew of women that come together, volunteer, the committee.
Right.
A lot of things you're going to see this year is one of the services that we like to offer the community is immigration. It's a big issue right now. We want to help the Latin community the best we can to get the papers. And Absolutely.
And I guess if you're an advocate of same-sex equality, the good news is that same-sex couples can access immigration benefits now.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that, Loca? Or Loca's friend?
Yeah, local.
good thing.
Yes.
What about you? How do you feel,
Oh,
Tonya?
I'm just ecstatic. I'm so happy about it.
Okay, so more about the festival.
Okay, well, Brenda this year, she's our entertainment manager.
And you pulled it off.
Yes, she
You
did.
pulled it
We've
off
been working
in a
them.
huge, huge way.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the talent, the musical acts that are going to be performing. I got to tell you, I personally am not Latino, but I love Latino sounds. Not as much the regional sounds, but the kind of rock sounds, Gypsy King type sounds.
Yeah.
So tell us about the music that's going to be playing.
Well, we're definitely having one of the bands that are kind of well known throughout the LA county, Sonsoles.
Oh, yes.
Very good group.
Yes. They're Latino rock for those that don't know.
Yes, rock en español.
Right.
We also have Zambala, which is Brazilian dancers.
Which
You
they
know.
are so beautiful.
They know how to move.
Right, on so many levels. I mean, their costumes,
They
their
sure are.
movements. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a sight to see. It's a sight to see. Whom else?
Definitely. We definitely can't go without having a mariachi.
Of course.
You have to have that.
And you have Mariachi Fena Estapa.
Fina Estapa.
Fina,
Yes.
perfecto.
Yes. And we're also having as guests would be El Sorullo.
Right.
So some people may be
That's
familiar.
the tropical, Latino tropical.
Tropical. And we will have a special segment in memory of Jenny Rivera. So we're having an impersonator.
And let's talk about Jenny Rivera, because what many people may not know is she grew up in Long Beach.
Definitely.
Long Beach was her home. And sadly, we lost her. It's not that long ago, isn't that right?
Right.
Brenda?
No, yeah.
Not
It's
even a
within
year.
the year, I was going to say. And so, why are you choosing to pay tribute to her, other than the obvious? I mean, what made you decide we need to make a statement on behalf of Jenny?
Well, a few years back, the boss that I work for, the
Right.
man I work for,
Yeah,
in the
you
city
work
of
for
Long-
a member of
Yeah.
the Long Beach City Council.
Yes. He honored her with a star here in Long Beach at the Poly Walk of Fame, and I got to meet her and her family.
Because she went to Poly High.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So I got to meet her and her family, and we became friends.
You and Jenny became
yeah,
oh
well,
my.
yeah, we became friends with her family and her
Right.
rodeo. And she actually helped a lot in the community, donating back and giving back to the community. A lot of nonprofits she
Right.
supported.
And so, what about you? I mean, did you grow up in Long Beach?
Definitely born and raised.
Did you go to Poly?
I sure didn't.
Okay, but that's okay. But what does Jenny Rivera mean to you, and why do you think it's important that this festival honor her?
Well, I think definitely she's a very strong woman, and I think we all are in a sense. She went through a lot of trials and tribulations within her life, and I think she's an extraordinary example for every woman. I mean, she could care less what anybody would think, which is essentially,
Yeah.
the main concept. Like, we want to be happy, and that's all we're striving for. I can care less what you think.
Now, for our viewers that are watching statewide, they may know that Long Beach has a thriving gay and lesbian community. I think that's well known. Gay Latino community, maybe not as well known. Talk to us about the gay Latino community in the Long Beach area.
Oh, it's growing. You know, the Long Beach community itself with Latinos is growing.
Right.
You know, it's just awesome.
And I know that you don't necessarily want to get political here, but one of the major candidates for Long Beach mayor is a gay Latino man.
Yes.
Robert Garcia.
Yes.
And then another candidate is a lesbian woman, Jerry Shipsky.
Yes.
And
we have a gay Latino senator, Ricardo Laura.
Ricardo Laura, of course.
Yes,
and so
yes.
there's no doubt that Long Beach, I forgot about that. There's no doubt that Long Beach has invited, welcomed, honored its leaders that happen to be gay or happen to be Latino.
Yes.
I mean, they're much more than just that. Are we going to see any of them at the festival?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm sure Ricardo will be there in spades. I'm sure.
He's actually a sponsor.
Okay.
And
okay.
Then,
Robert
Garcia is a padrino.
Which means?
It's like a godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
No,
there
I knew
with the
that, but I
christening.
just want to tell
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
I'm learning Spanish as look on those. So how can we get there? Is there a website? Do we buy tickets? I bought a raffle ticket. I better win.
Yeah.
So talk to us how we get
Okay. You can go on our website.
Right.
www.
LBFGL.com. LBFGL.com.
I was just making sure he knew it.
No, LBFGL.com. Do we need to buy tickets in advance?
You can, or at the door. The tickets are real low price. They're $10. We want everybody to come enjoy themselves. Bud Light is one of our big sponsors. Hamburger,
Oh, Bud Light, okay.
Bud Light, Hamburger Mary's, the Executive Suite, Union Bank, Long Beach Convention and Business Bureau.
Right.
Also JetBlue.
Nice. JetBlue, that's the raffle that I'm going to win because it's a $5 ticket and you get 2 JetBlue Airlines tickets.
Yes.
And I win things.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not good at gambling, but I win raffles.
Oh, that's great.
So Loca, you better pick my name. How is it, look, I harken back to the olden days when we were kids. I could never imagine that all those organizations that you mentioned would sponsor something like this.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing how far we've come.
Well, then you also got to think business is business.
Right. Well, true, but for so long, business wasn't business.
Yeah.
And-
And it's not just a gay event, it's a gay Latin event. So it's
Which
huge.
is double fun.
Yeah, it's huge for us.
Which is double fun.
And it's
Great food, great dance.
Absolutely. And the event's created by women. So you got all these minorities coming together and it's making a statement here in
Now,
Long Beach.
one of the most important things, at least for me, is the food. I have to admit that.
Oh,
So,
yes. Absolutely.
what's going on
Of
with
course,
the
the
food there?
tacos, the burritos, the empanadas. We got Brazilian food. We got some food coming from Spain, Cuba. It's gonna
Are
be
you
delicious.
cooking?
It's gonna be delicious. I wish she would.
Are you cooking?
I wish she would. She's a fabulous cook.
Get the ingredients and
Yeah.
we'll negotiate.
Now, what about for families? I mean, family friendly, presumably?
Yeah. Well, from
At least during the day.
yeah, during the day we actually have a teen stage during the day.
Okay.
From 11 to 4.
And
Yes.
is there a place for youth to go if they want to talk?
At the event?
At the event, meaning,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be that there's a Latino youth or any youth that feels like they're alone, they're isolated.
Yes.
I mean, the bottom line is, it's very interesting, I'm sure both of you
Yes.
know this, that minority communities, one could argue, have had struggles accepting gays and lesbians. Is that
Absolutely.
fair?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Very
the
much
Latino
so.
community, the African American
Through the
community.
culture,
Yeah,
yes.
and so,
The Center of Long Beach will be there.
Right, Long Beach Gay and Lesbian Center, which
They're
is,
one of the sponsors
which has done
also.
great work.
Yeah.
And so, how does it feel for you, Tonya? It's one thing to launch an event. It's another thing for that event to be successful enough to come back.
Yes.
That's the true
Yeah.
gauge of success.
It feels great. It feels just wonderful. I can't explain.
And what about for the community? Both communities, all communities,
All
women, gays and
communities.
lesbians, Latinos, Latinas.
I think the community is getting it now. Like this is open for gay, straight, whoever
Right.
wants to come, because it celebrates Latin Heritage Month,
Right.
which is September,
Right.
and it also falls on Mexican Independence Day this year.
You guys are great. I am so
So,
glad you
we're
came on the
excited.
show. Don't
We're
forget,
excited.
the event is on September 14th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's Long Beach Festival, Gay Latino. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks for watching Charter California Edition.
What state boasts the zip codes with the highest concentration of same-sex female couples cohabitating? California, Massachusetts, New York, or Rhode Island? The state of Massachusetts includes 5 of the top 10 zip codes with the highest concentration of same-sex female couples living together.
Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined by Victoria Harris and Marcella Bell. They're with the California Wildlife Center. What a wonderful organization based in Calabasas, near my childhood home in the Montnito section of Calabasas, near Saddle Peak Lodge. I know it well. What exactly, Victoria, is the California Wildlife Center?
Well, we're an nonprofit organization that rescues, rehabilitates, and releases injured and orphaned native wildlife.
And you, Marcella, are its newest executive director. You come to us from the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. Congratulations on your new job. What compelled you to leave your beautiful home in Oregon to come to sunny Southern California and take the helm at the California Wildlife Center?
I think probably the opportunity to have a dream job. I studied public administration and specifically natural resource management and
kind of perfect.
Yeah, so
it's kind of perfect. I was mentioning to you that I was on Malibu Beach recently, and a sea lion came up. The sea lion had perished, and we didn't know what to do. And so we called a telephone number, and 2 very nice gentlemen came, and they took samples, and they helped to release the perished animal back into the ocean. And I found out that would have been whom?
That would have been us. That would be our marine mammal team.
Which is really terrific, and how serendipitous that I got to meet you. We've seen and heard and read about die-offs over this last calendar year. What can you tell us, Marcella?
Well, this year in January 2013, the federal government declared an unusual mortality event for California sea lions. And that was meaning that they were stranding in record numbers. We hadn't seen these kinds of numbers.
Were they stranding and dying, or were they stranding?
Well,
only?
actually, it was both. It depended on the situation, but we had a lot of strandings of pups that were starving. They still don't know the ultimate cause, but they do know that there was a food shortage in the ocean. And so a lot of these pups are coming up malnourished. They're small. They can't regulate their body temperature because they haven't gotten the weight up. And so they come up on the sand to try to warm up and to try to get some rest. They're exhausted. They're starving. But the problem is that there's people on the beach. There's dogs on the beach. There's lots of things on the beach.
And I learned that I may have committed a no-no. And I will own up to that, because I think it's an important anecdote, an important lesson. A couple of years ago, I saw what appeared to be a pup, a sea lion pup. A dog approached it. I was very kind of flummoxed about what to do. And so we decided, as a way to kind of get the dog away from the pup, to try to get the pup back into the water, and we did. But maybe not the right move, Victoria?
Well, as Marcella was saying, sometimes they come up just to thermoregulate or to rest. So it's just best, number one, to always have your dog on a leash.
Right. It wasn't our dog, so be that as it may.
Safer for the dog and safer for the pup. And if there's any question about whether or not the animal's in distress, you call our hotline number and we'll come out and check.
What is the hotline number? I want to make sure it's on the screen.
Sure, it's 310-458-WILD.
Easy. Tell us more about the organization, what you are doing, because it's so invaluable. We've been focusing on sea life, but it's not just a sea life-centric organization.
No, we actually treat all native wildlife to California. So we see lots and lots of birds. We see mammals such as coyotes and fawns. We see the common nuisances that a lot of people don't like or get a bad rap, such as possums and things like that. We treat all of them.
And how do you do that?
Well, we have. Luckily, about 8 years ago, we were able to bring in a wildlife veterinarian. So we're really the only facility that has one.
Full-time wildlife veterinarian, only one in LA County.
Only one, and it's amazing because people pull up and you never know what they're going to pull. They pull out a box out of their car and you don't know whether it's going to be something this big or something this big.
And so the center literally, let's kind of paint a picture. It's in Montnito. I mean, you have how many animals there at any given time?
Up to 200.
200?
Yeah, particularly during the busy season where all the babies are being born. So we have lots of orphans. Sometimes they're actually kidnapped by people who don't know better.
Yes. And so,
leave them.
And what do you do? I mean, you've told us, but remind us, you nurse them.
The babies go into our baby care center, but we also have the hospital unit. We have a surgical unit for injured, so our Dr. Tom can put in pins into broken legs. He's done, believe it or not, dental work on a possum that was hit by a car. I mean, he's just amazing.
And the goal is not to keep these animals. The goal is to, please, Marcella.
To release them back to the wild.
And how do they do?
They do as well as we can tell.
Right.
We don't do
Do
a
you
lot
track
of
'em?
external or
You don't track?
extended tracking,
Right.
but we do get them as healthy as possible and give them the best chance
With
possible.
the exception of the elephant seal pups this year that we did.
What happens with them?
We were able to.
Oh, you
we
are
tag
tracking them.
We tag them.
And it's been several months. Do you know how they're doing? As a
We
general
actually-
proposition.
Actually, one stranded again.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Down in San Diego, but the others have all, we
Seem
think,
to have
headed
flourished.
and gone up north where they're northern elephant seals, so that's where they should be. And we fatten them up like crazy before we.
What more could you ask for? I
Right.
mean, you want, obviously.
3 meals a day.
Yeah, not everything's going to work out. So when the two gentlemen came to help us with the sea lion, it appeared to me that one was an expert, I'll call it, and one was probably an intern, which begs the question, what if we want to get involved in the California Wildlife Center?
Well, there are definitely a number of
I
ways.
had a feeling. I had a feeling.
So
Yes.
we do have interns.
Right.
We also have an externship program. That's for
Right.
students who are pre-vet or
wow.
in veterinary school.
Sure.
They can come and learn about wildlife medicine specifically from our veterinarian, Dr. Tom. And we also have a lot of volunteer opportunities.
And I was going to ask that of Victoria because we know you as a veteran of the cable industry, a real forerunner in the cable industry, and you made the wise decision to move on, and you decided to volunteer for some wildlife organization, and P.S. you're now board president.
Yes, yes.
So tell us
no
about-
good deed goes
Exactly.
unpunished.
So tell us though about the volunteer opportunities because you really could speak to them.
You can focus on different areas. We have marine mammal volunteers, people who are interested in the hospital. Some people want to help animals, but they don't want to deal, they're not comfortable dealing directly.
It's okay.
So they can help us with our fundraising, with our outreach efforts, education to go
Right.
out and tell the community.
I must tell you, my daughters are involved with another organization. It focuses on domestic animals. And in their volunteer opportunities, what they do is they go to the center and they interact with the animals, cats, dogs. And I thought, what is that doing? And what they told me was, no, we want to adopt them out and we want them to have human interaction.
Socialize.
And exactly. So really, there are so many different ways you can help animals. The simplest being play with them.
Yes.
You know, obviously in your
Domestic.
situation, in your situation, it wouldn't be appropriate. Some exciting news as well. A blessing and a curse, but ultimately a big blessing, is that there was a center that that shut down, I guess, recently, but you were able to take over. And so an exciting opportunity for your center. Tell us about that.
It helped us, we increased our capacity.
Right. So what it was called the
Shadow Oaks.
Shadow Oaks. So
Yeah.
what happened with Shadow Oaks?
Well, the woman who held the permit, so in rehabilitation, you have to have permits to do whatever you do, and it can be very, very difficult to get a permit. And so what people can sometimes do is they actually become sub-permittees or work under another person's permit. So the woman who ran Shadow Oaks held permits for a number of care providers. And she wanted to retire. Eventually you want to rest.
Yes,
It's allowed, right?
So there was going to be a massive gap, a loss of rehabilitators and people who would continue to be permitted. So we took on the permits that she had had, which means that we took on a network of satellite care providers. We also ended up
wonderful.
taking a lot more patients ourselves.
Now, I have to think that you have some grand plans for the organization now that you're new as its executive director. I'm sure that Victoria is helping you out in all that you do. Anything that you want to talk about in terms of looking towards the future?
Definitely. So we are in Montana, as you
Right.
mentioned. We are on a 3.5 acre piece of land that has been generously donated by state parks that we can use.
Yes.
But we, especially with the expansion of our practice, we're actually running out of room. We've built up, we've built around, we've been very
Is
creative.
there land around there that you can push out to? No.
No.
Not really, because it was actually somebody's home, this property, before state parks.
Right, because I
took it
think
over.
of Montana, there's a lot of empty space, but
And we are looking forward to being able to continue to do elephant seal rehab. And in order to do that, we really need to move to a property that is on sewer, because
Yes.
we're on septic. And more information than you ever want to know
No,
about
but it's
elephant seal
important.
poop in
Yeah.
water, but pumping
so
out.
if our viewers want to help, it's simple. Go to the website for the California Wildlife Foundation, cawildlife.org. You're both inspirational. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for watching Charter California Edition.